Thanks for joining me. This is Danny, and welcome to my brand new Botania series. We are going to be playing through Botania in survival mode. In this series, it's going to be a tutorial style series where we're going to be kind of getting very in-depth with Botania. But instead of just pulling things out of creative mode and reading stuff out of the Lexica Botania, we're actually going to play it so that you can really get a sense of how to play this mod and how much fun it can be. So I've got a very simple mod pack here that has Botania and a few other mods that is going to help us just kind of manage inventory and stuff like that. Mostly the mod pack's going to kind of stay out of our way and let us play Botania. The only mod in this pack that has significant functionality that kind of overlaps with some Botania stuff is refined storage. But I have modified many of the recipes in refined storage so that they require Botania ingredients and they will kind of follow the Botania progression. So we're not just going to be able to jump into refined storage and use that for all our automation. We're going to be doing as much as we possibly can with Botania, and we're not going to be touching the other mods unless we really need them or unless they don't get in the way. So I've been playing for a little while. I've collected some very basic materials, and we are soon going to replace these materials, these tools and weapons and armor with Manasteel stuff from Botania, and we're going to be able to see what all the benefits are of that. I also built a little bitty house over here for us to kind of play Botania with, and I mean the point of this is that it's going to allow us to focus exclusively on the mod. So I've got this little, well, not little, I've got this big mansion for us to play in with this big courtyard that we're going to have all of our Botania-y stuff in, and I've also got some rooftop gardens on top. In fact, if you look at the map, you'll see that it's all green up there. So in fact, I have a garden, like a vegetable garden up there. So we're gonna kind of be spreading out all over the place here and filling in this house with all of our Botania stuff. The first thing that of course we want to do is we want to gather some flowers, and I can see some right here, some mystical flowers from Botania. We've got some gray ones, and there are flowers of all 16 colors and 2 different sizes of each. These are just the regular size flowers, and those are most of the ones that you find are going to be like these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run around through the world, and I'm going to try to find at least one of each color. And you'll find these just scattered all over the place. So here's some white ones, but obviously if we try to fill our inventory with 16 different colored flowers, it's going to get kind of full. So what I want to do first, before we get much further, here's some lime green ones. Of course you can tell that they're mystical flowers because they have the nice little particle effects. The little mystical effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a flower pouch. And what a flower pouch is, it's kind of like a little, well, pouch that holds flowers, and it allows us to hold a stack of each flower, and it takes up only a single inventory slot. Before we even do that, let's make ourselves the Lexica Botania, which is obviously just, as you saw, a sapling and a book. And this is going to tell us everything that we need to know about the mod. It is a very, very detailed book, and it has lots of nice pictures, and it's got tutorials which lead you through the book. It has visualizations to help us with the multi-block structures, and it's quite very, very nicely done. So we'll be depending on this a lot. We're going to be reading from this a lot. I mean, mostly I'll be doing the reading off camera, but I'll show you where stuff is in there from time to time. So we're going to want to make a flower pouch, but in order to make a flower pouch, we are going to need some petals. So we can take any one of our flowers that we just picked. I'm going to take one of the mystical lime flowers because we're going to be actually using those the least in the beginning. And we take that and we combine it. Actually, you can look it up in JEI, obviously. Flower pouch is just 5 wool and 1 mystical flower. So as you can see, it's got room for a stack of each flower. So that's 16 stacks that we can hold in a single item slot in our inventory. And now I'm just going to run around and pick up some flowers. And what's great about the flower pouch is when we do pick up flowers, as long as we're not holding the pouch in our hands, it will drop the flower into the pouch. So there's our 7th white flower that we just picked up. But now if we are holding it in our hand, so if for some reason you want to pick up a flower and you don't want it to go in your pouch, you can hold the pouch in your hand and then it ends up in your inventory. But right now, of course, we want it all in there. So I'm going to move that out of my hand, and we can see the black mystical flower ended up in our inventory. So I'm going to run around and do this. Time to time you will come across these double flowers. Tall mystical purple flowers. You do need a shears to pick those up. I'm actually not going to pick them up right now because I don't want to fill up my inventory with them because they don't go in the flower pouch. But if you do run across those, don't try to break them without a shears. And later on, we'll be making a lot of those once we get one of each flower from the world. So while I'm doing this, let me just tell you a little bit of what our aims are going to be for this first episode, and then maybe a little bit more about this entire series. So in this first episode, we're going to get our mana generation started. We're going to collect one of each flower, of course. By the end of this episode, I want to have semi-automated mana generation. So kind of a hands-off thing where we just queue up some stuff and it generates mana for us. Because we're going to need a lot of mana, and the more mana we get right from the get-go, the more smoothly things will go from here on out. I also want to, like I said earlier, I want to replace all of our vanilla stuff with Manasteel stuff, which is kind of the first tier of Botania tools and weapons and armor. And I also want to get into some really nice baubles, which are going to improve our quality of life, including the Sojourner Sash, which is going to help us walk faster and give a step assist. I think we're going to be able to get into that today, which means we're also going to get into rune crafting today, which is a crafting mechanic. Oh, look at this. A pumpkin on the seashore. Very nice. And we may get into the Ring of Chordata, which is going to help us in the water, and some other nice rings that are going to give us some nice effects. For the long term in the series, we are going to be obviously progressing with Botania. We're going to be automating as much stuff as possible with Botania, with just Botania. And we're going to be automating things required for Botania, like mana generation. We're going to start with mana generation today. We're going to try to automate Terra Steel production later on. We're going to try to automate rune crafting. And we're also going to automate resource gathering. Things like tree farms, we're going to do that entirely with Botania. We're going to do kind of a mining setup with Botania, kind of a quarry type of thing. Wow, we're actually doing pretty well. We need gray. We have light gray. And we need red. And we need orange. And yellow. Look at this. Nice. I wish I would have came here before I made my armor. I would have saved myself some iron. I haven't found my gray flowers yet. Everything but gray. That's the only thing I have left. I probably don't need those for a while, but I'm going to keep looking until I get one of each. But I did find a desert, which is kind of exciting. I'm going to run over there and grab some cactus, because I'm sure we'll need it eventually. And another village. Wow. Very nice. I want a little bit of bone meal too, actually. Hey. That's cheating. You can't go inside of a piece of grass. Ooh, baby Zabby. Man, we need to get some better weapons. We'll do that very soon. Oh my gosh, I finally found the gray flowers. I almost gave up because we don't really need gray flowers anytime soon. The only thing we need them for is the Entropinium, which is a mana generating flower that uses TNT to generate mana, and we're not going to be doing that anytime soon, so I almost just gave up on gray flowers. Now that we have all these flowers, we can start making stuff with them. So the first crafting mechanic that we're going to be playing with in Botania is the Petal Apothecary. Right, the Petal Apothecary is one of many in-world crafting mechanics in Botania, and the way this works is we put some water in the sky, and we are going to automate that. We put some water in the sky, and then we throw stuff in there, usually petals, and sometimes some other ingredients like runes and such. So the very first thing that we're going to craft in our Petal Apothecary is going to be a pure daisy, which is... Actually, we're going to make 2 pure daisies. Which is just some white petals, and then we're also going to need some seeds, which we'll have to go up to our rooftop garden to get. Actually, I'm just going to harvest all these, because we're going to need a lot of seeds. If we look in JEI at Pure Daisy, we will see that we can make it with 4 white petals or white shimmering mushrooms. It is the case now that all of the shimmering mushrooms that sometimes you find in the nether or in caves can be replaced or can be used as replacements for petals in recipes. So we just throw the 4 in here, or we can even just throw it like that. And it ends up in there. And then it's telling us, hey, you can make a pure daisy now. And we need some seeds. So then we throw the seeds in there and we get the pure daisy. It consumes the water. So now we're going to throw some more water in there. And if we take an empty hand and we right click again, it's going to repeat the last recipe we did. So it took those 4 flowers out of my inventory and I put them in there. So that's a good quick way to do something lots of times in a row. And I'm just going to put water back in there again. And we'll put our pure daisies. I'm going to put one pure daisy right there. And I'm going to put another one right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some wood. Uh-oh, we don't have very much wood. We will be working on a tree farm probably in the next episode. And we surround it. We surround the pure daisy. And as you can see, we've got particles going on here. And that's telling us that, hey, the pure daisy's doing some magical work over here. Nice. And then we're going to get some stone, which we don't have. I'm going to throw some cobblestone in here. We do actually need stone, not cobblestone. Oh, there's only 3 there. Oh, it's starting to convert. And it does it, of course, in the order that we placed them. There we go. So now we've got some living wood over there. I'm going to place these stones over here. And pick up this living wood. With this really, really slow axe. But we will soon be getting a Manasteel axe, so I'm not going to bother making a better axe at this point. This is going to give us some of the ingredients that we're going to need to get started with mana generation. Mana in Botania is kind of our energy, so we're going to need mana to do just about anything interesting with this mod. So we're going to need a mana pool, which requires living rock. We're going to need 5 living rocks, so we're not ready for that yet. And we're going to need some flour that produces mana. We're going to start with endoflames. There are many flowers that produce mana, but we're going to start with these. So we need 2 brown, a red, and a light gray. Make sure you do a light gray, because I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally done gray flowers, and when I really wanted light gray. Let's get our living rock. Is our mana pool. So the mana pool is where we're going to store mana. And then we're also going to want to make a mana spreader that's going to allow us to spread mana. So we're going to need some gold. And 1 petal, so we'll just use that petal. There's a mana spreader. And then we're going to need a way to make mana. So we'll just start with 5 of these endoflames for now. And move that over again. And I'm going to put stone and wood around those in a second. But first, again, we can do our first one. 1 red and 1 light gray. And as you can see, this is going to make an endoflame. So I'm going to get this ready. I'm going to have an empty hand. 2 empty hands, because the flower is going to land in one of my empty hands. So I'm going to have 2 empty hands. And throw a seed in there. And there's our endoflame. And now we can put water in there. Right click. Put water in there. Oh, whoops, not from there though. Put water in there. Right click. Do them about right there. And then we're going to set down our, actually we probably should have set down our mana spreader first. So while these guys produce mana, this guy is going to transport the mana to the mana pool. And I'm going to pick these up again. Okay. And then what these guys need is some coal. Or they'll burn anything that you can burn in a furnace. So coal, charcoal. Oh boy. We don't really have very much, do we? So I'm just going to throw down 5 pieces of coal. And we will automate this setup very soon. And they should each pick 1 up. There we go. And now we're producing mana. Hooray! Although we have no idea. Whoops, we have no idea how much mana we're producing. Let me get that out of my offhand. We have no idea how much mana we're producing. We have no idea how much mana is in here or anything. So we're going to have to make a wand of the forest after I go take a nap. So to be able to see what's going on with our Botania stuff, we're going to make a wand of the forest. And this requires 3 living wood sticks, or twigs. Each twig is 2 square meters of wood. So 2 blocks of wood per twig. And then we're going to take 2 petals of any color to make it. So we can, in fact, if we look in here at the wands of the forest, you can see that there are many different combinations of colors that we can do. We can choose 2 of the petal colors. The third one's going to be green no matter what we do. So I'm going to go with, how about a blue, orange? Let's do that. Oops. So we'll get 2 petals from that, 2 petals from that. Or we could make them the same color. We don't have to make them different colors. So we go like that. And that. And then we have our wand of the forest. Oh. So this is basically our wrench for Botania. In fact, if you have the morphing tool installed, which we do, you can actually put this in the morphing tool as well. So now we can see, oh, we have a tiny itty bitty bit of mana. So you can see that little progress bar. There's a tiny piece of mana on the left. And there's our mana spreader. Has a little bit of mana in it too. Once it has enough, it'll do its next mana burst. Mana comes out of the mana spreader in bursts. And our endoflames are all empty because all their mana went into the mana spreader. So I actually made 5 more endoflames. And I'm going to set these down. And I'm going to leave a hole in the middle that we are going to use later for automation. And for now, I'm going to throw 30 coal in there. It's going to pick up 10 of them right away because there's 10 flowers. And then it actually burns through the coal about twice as fast as a furnace does. So we can safely set down enough for 3 cycles without worrying about it, without worrying about them despawning. So now we're going to start generating a fairly significant amount of mana. I've probably done about a stack and a half of coal, and we've gotten this much mana so far. So as you can see, it takes a lot of resources to get a decent amount of mana. Although this is actually a considerable amount of mana to start with, because now there are quite a few things that we can make in our mana pool, including Manasteel, which is what I'm going to make first. And I'm actually going to make a few Manasteel ingots. So as you can see, if we throw iron ingots into our mana pool, we get back Manasteel ingots. It uses a small amount of mana, actually a fairly significant amount of mana. That was about half of the mana that we had. And we now have 8 ingots of Manasteel. Hooray! So the first Botania goodies that I want to make are Manasteel tools. Manasteel, like other metals, can be shaped into tools and armor. Tools and armor crafted from this material will share their properties with iron. So it's basically iron level tools. However, there's a few big differences. One is its superior in enchantability. More importantly, whenever a Manasteel item is to take damage, if there's any mana available in the inventory, it'll use that instead. So basically, these tools will never break, so we're not going to have to keep crafting a bunch of iron pickaxes over and over and over again. We can just craft one Manasteel pickaxe and it'll last us forever as long as we have some mana in our inventory. So how do we get mana in our inventory? Well, we're going to have to make a mana tablet. So I'm going to get some more living rock. So that we can make a mana tablet. Which is this. So we're going to we're going to require one of the 2 things that we don't have. So I'm going to have to go do a little bit of either mining or enderman hunting. We can use either an ender pearl or a diamond. Before we do that, let's automate our mana production because we're going to need a lot of it. And I'm sick of coming over here and throwing coal on it, and I've actually started making charcoal. I've got a kind of a tree farm in the front. You can see there's some trees growing over there. So I've been making charcoal to throw in there. But of course, manually going over here and throwing charcoal all the time isn't the greatest idea. So what I want to do is I want to set it up so that these flowers are automatically being fed charcoal, and that actually we'll just have it automatically make charcoal for us too. So we'll just have a place where we drop in a bunch of logs, and it'll automatically smelt them into charcoal for us and then drop them by the end of flames one at a time so that they can pick it up and constantly make mana for us. It's going to be a pretty simple setup, actually. We're going to need a redstone torch, a dropper, a wooden pressure plate, and we actually need some living wood planks, which are crafted like so, and we're going to need an open crate. So an open crate is kind of like a vanilla dropper, with a few exceptions. One of them is that it does not have an inventory like a dropper does. And two is that it always drops items. As soon as you give it an item, it's going to drop it straight down. It's not going to just kind of throw it wherever it happens to land. It's going to drop it straight down. So I want to place this hopper, or this dropper, so that it's pointing into this open crate. And then, actually we're going to have to move that flower back here. But first, before we do that, I'm going to put a block here. Wait. And a redstone torch there. Which, as you could tell, as you just heard, that redstone torch pulses the dropper when it first gets a redstone signal. So, and because we have a torch there and a pressure plate here, we effectively have a NOT gate. So anytime we throw something on that pressure plate and it then disappears. Oh boy. Oh good, we got lots of wood up there. Anytime we throw something on that pressure plate, it's going to turn that redstone torch off, which when it gets picked up is going to turn it on again, which is going to pulse our dropper. So really simple setup. We're definitely going to do something more sophisticated than this later on in the game, but this is a really good, cheap early game setup that actually works really well, and it'll just continue. It'll just always keep one piece of charcoal on the pressure plate. So I guess the next thing we want to do is automate the furnace part. But we do have to get it started, and we have to drop the first piece of charcoal. Stand up there. There we go. So once that gets picked up, it'll drop another one. Nice. Okay, I'm afraid this might end up being a little bit ugly for now, but we're going to set up a furnace now, and I've got 2 hoppers and a furnace, and can we get up there? And then I'm going to have a hopper going into the top of this furnace. And I guess we can just put the wood right in there. So the wood will go into the top of the furnace, and we're going to have to fuel the furnace. And then what should happen is as soon as it's done fueling, as soon as it's done making the charcoal, it'll end up in this hopper, or it'll end up in the hopper down there, and then it'll end up in here. So, hooray. Here's an example of a lime shimmering mushroom. You can use this instead of a lime leaf in the petal. Oh, here's another one. Or green shimmering mushroom. And there's a creeper. Finally, I found some diamonds. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, man, because this is my last pick. I don't have any wood with me, so I can't even make any sticks. Diamonds! Hooray! Oh boy, that's a big tree. I do not want to cut that down with a stone axe. So let's do this. I'm going to take one of our diamonds, just one, and I'm going to throw it in there, and I'm going to get a mana diamond. Hooray! And then, actually we can just do this right out here. Mana tablet. Nice. So we can throw our mana tablet in our mana pool, and it'll suck up mana as long as the pool is set to give mana to tablets. So right now it looks like this pool is taking mana from tablets, but if we shift right click, that little arrow turns the other way, so it is now giving mana to tablets. So I'm going to throw the tablet in there, but only for a little while, because I don't want to use all of our mana. Ooh boy. Okay. And you can see now we have a little bit of mana in our mana tablet. To make our mana tools, we're going to need a bunch of living wood twigs. So wood, man. Holy crap. We need so much wood. I don't usually, it's funny, I don't usually notice how much wood this mod uses until I start trying to play it really early, in really early game like this, without any other OP stuff. So there's our axe, and I think I'm going to do that in a pick for now. And there we go. Nice. We have our first mana tools. Nice. So these are going to act like iron, which is definitely better than stone. But as you can see, there's no damage. But we did use a little bit of mana. And now that we have a mana tablet in our inventory, by the way, you can see that there's kind of a bluish thing here. That's showing us how much mana we have in our tablet. So we can kind of see as I cut this tree down that that's going to go down a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. In fact, it wasn't really even enough to notice. Now, one of the nice things, actually, let's get this stuff out of here. One of the nice things about the mana tools is that they have some special functions, right-click functions. So the axe, when you right-click, it places a sapling, and it tells you how many saplings you have in your inventory. So let's just, I'll do that one off camera. You probably don't want to watch me cut that tree down. And the pickaxe will place torches when you right-click. So I no longer need to keep my torches in my offhand. This thing also breaks leaves really fast. Look at that. That's nice. Wow. The flame is going to burn a piece of coal for about 40 seconds. And since we have 10 endoflames, that means we're burning about one piece of coal. Optimally, we're burning about one piece of coal every 4 seconds. This furnace is not producing a piece of coal every 4 seconds. We're going to basically set up an array with 3 pressure plates, 3 furnaces, 3 droppers, and 3 open crates. Alright, that's working a little better. We're generating mana at a much faster rate now. Hooray! Oh, and we got lots of wood coming. Oh my god, I cannot wait till we get a tree farm going, because, oh man, this is... yeah, you know. Now that we're actually getting a decent amount of mana, we can start getting into runic altar crafting. Hooray! So this is where things are going to kind of start getting interesting. I mean, so far we've made some, pickaxes and stuff like that, but we are soon going to make some stuff that is much more unique and interesting. One of the first things that I want to do, that I want to work toward, is something that's going to help me with the trees, because all I've been doing, in fact right now we're not producing any mana because I'm really sick of cutting down trees because that's all I've been doing is cutting down trees. So I'm going to make us something that's going to allow us to just walk up to this tree and cut down the whole thing while we're standing right here, and pretty quickly. And it's not just going to work on trees, it's going to work on all blocks. It's going to allow us to break blocks from a long distance away and many blocks at once, and very, very, very quickly. So that is what we're going to work on in the next episode. We're going to start with runic crafting. We're going to play around with the mana blaster and some mana lenses, and we're also going to make some really cool baubles, some rings and a sash that's going to beef up our player like crazy. So I do hope you join me for that. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And of course, if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching.